Tropical storm Debby came through last night. Yesterday there were sustained winds of maybe 30 knots or so out in the bay here. Wanted to come down and check the boat. Everything looks pretty good at the marina here. There are some remnant winds from that low pressure system in the bay right now. As the system has moved up above the Chesapeake Bay, there's a little bit of that wind coming from the western side of the bay, just kind of sweeping in from west to east, which is creating somewhat of an interesting sailing condition because there's strong wind, consistent wind from the west going to the east. So I'm going to be hugging the western shore. And there's also almost no waves because the wind direction has been shifting very consistently, and waves in the bay are generally created by, hey, very consistent wind. We've got some decent wind, at least for the morning. I don't know if it'll last too much beyond that. We're going to ride this tropical storm wind up to this yacht that capsized, the Lovebug. So I've been in Annapolis twice over the past 6 weeks or so, and I've been parked next to this boat. And after I went to the wedding a couple weeks ago, the next thing that happened, literally 3 days after that, this boat was taking on water in the channel. It's like a 110-foot yacht. And to save the boat, the captain decided to run it into shallow area and ran it over near the Rhode River, which I've camped at a couple times, so just here. Apparently it's still sitting there. The salvage crew hasn't really started yet. It is a huge boat. They've contained any diesel from coming out and contamination or oil from leaking away. The actual salvage operation hasn't started yet. See if we can take a peek at a capsized yacht in the Chesapeake Bay. Sometimes after a heavy rain, the motor doesn't start well. Or last time I came here, it had rained very heavily right before I started the motor and didn't really start right up right away, which is the first time it's ever done that. So let's see what happens this time. Just needs to choke it. There we go. This happened last time and then it kicked on with a very significant puff of smoke. There it is. Okay, come on. It's pretty shaky. Yeah, I think there's probably water in the gas or something. This happened last time. It took a couple tries and then it started to sound exactly normal. Don't love that though. It smells a little weird too. The exhaust smells weird. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that warm up for a couple minutes, I think. You can see how heavy this rain was. The dinghy is so full of water, it almost sunk. I don't understand this, but people come with my boat when I'm not here. This is missing a stainless screw now. That was not me. I did not do that. And I had this shirt kind of tied up here to prevent some resonant frequency noise with this lazy jack system that sounds like a cicada. But I tied it on here. It was very tight. And it was just untied and on the floor. So someone's obviously here messing with my boat. There, genius system. One thing I'm noticing, there's a ton of debris. So we had, 4 or 5 inches of rain and that washed everything down the rivers into the Chesapeake Bay. So there's a lot of debris, a lot of wood and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple logs out here. If I had a powerboat, I'd be nervous today taking it out. Yeah, look at that. There's one right there. Well, I definitely feel like there's not a lot of wind out here right now. And perhaps the forecast lied to me a little bit. The further we get away from shore, the more the wind may develop because it is a westerly wind, right? And so the wind, and it's getting slowed down by land. It's a lot slower on land. So as we get out into the water, it should be speeding up. The other thing that's not completely accurate is the wave forecast. That was about 1/2 foot waves in the forecast and I see almost none. Which is great. I love that. That means you can sail a lot more nimbly. This boat doesn't do super well, going into the wind. We're sort of in irons right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and raise the main. right, we got the motor off. Draining out nicely. So no more log risk. And we're pretty steady at like 3.5 knots, which is fine. I'll take that. We need to be going this way, so we're on a pretty tight angle with the wind on a close haul. Could be a little bit closer, and I probably will adjust the sails slightly in a moment to do that. But yeah, we want to be going like around this point at the end there. That's where the yacht is sunk, right after that. Making a good course here. Wish we were moving a little bit faster. I think the wind died a little bit. But yeah, we're hitting like 2.7 to 3 knots now. Which isn't great. It's not terrible either. Got a huge piece of wood right there. So here's the last location of the Lovebug on AIS, so right north of this little Shady Side, I think it's called Shady Side, this little peninsula right here. So that's the dot, that, oops, where'd it go? That dot, right there. So, remember this view? Then let's go back to Navionics. And so we're here right now, and that's that peninsula up there. So very soon, if it's still there, we should be able to see as we sort of create a better angle with this corner of the land. I should be able to see it in the binoculars and confirm that the yacht is still sunk right there. So the Lovebug yacht is 122 feet long, 37 meters. It's an Italian yacht, is my understanding. It was refitted in 2021, so it's pretty wild that whatever happened between now and 2021, it went into disrepair enough to sink, or at least like take on water. If I had to guess, it's probably a rudder post leak or just some kind of basic seacock failure. I mean, you know, even in these big yachts, like they'll have a seacock that's connected to a hose, and sometimes the seacock is old or it's actuated by some kind of really old electrical system that, you know, these yachts that are built, you know, 10, 15 years ago usually have some kind of custom electrical system in them. And so, hey, I want to go turn the seacock off, water level reaches that system and shorts out the seacock actuator, and then the room just floods and you can't get to it, and it just starts to take on water. The captain made the decision to drive the boat to shallow water, which I think was the right call. This yacht was available for a charter for, I think, $150,000 a week, so pretty wild. And a little secret, I definitely the same family on it, or seemed like the same family on it, because I was parked next to it again in two times in Annapolis, both like 4 weeks apart. So they probably went out for a little cruise, and then this happened. So we should be rounding, we should be able to see it pretty soon when we round this corner. I keep checking in my binoculars to see if we can see it through there. Well, I definitely see it up there. There's a bunch of boats around it. I imagine it's a pretty popular destination while they wait to salvage it. Yeah, it's a big boat, big boy. On pretty much a perfect tack angle, a starboard tack to sail into the boat. You probably can't see it in the action camera, but we're definitely coming up on it. We're about half a mile or so from it, and we're going 2 knots, so we should be there pretty soon. So here we are at the Lovebug. I'm a lot closer than the camera's making it seeming, so I'll use my other camera to get some kind of footage of that. But yeah, it looks like it shifted quite a bit because the current last night, or the current from the tropical storm, I think it shifted a lot because the current from the storm was so high, and it probably lifted it up and shifted it down. I just got yelled at for being too close, by the way. Oops. They already took the name off, or someone did. Big boat.
The river opened her mouth and spat into a vast sea, larger and bluer than a cloudless sky, muscular, prodigious, immortal.
Unfortunately, it's mostly a motor ride back, going downwind. So I've just got like and again, the current's in our favor, so I've just got a little bit of throttle on. We're still hitting 4 knots because I don't have a ton of gasoline. But yeah, just kind of hanging out here. It's really hot, so I'm just poking my head out of this hatch, making sure we aren't hitting any crab pots. There's definitely some intermittent wind. See how that, yeah, the sail's full now. Apparently, there's supposed to be a gust of up to 9 coming from the west, but the two models disagree. I use the GFRS or GMRS, whatever it is. One of them is a radio protocol, I think. The other one is the model. And then I use the HRRR, which is I find the HRRR to be the most accurate generally. And that one is predicting this 9 knots of wind showing up from the west in about 30 minutes here. It's just weird to see it on a day like this, like when there's, you know, like I've said this in prior videos, but when the sun is really high in the summer, it just tends to kill the wind in the middle of the day, and this really feels like that type of vibe right now. But yeah, that sail is full, and what are we at? So that added like a knot to our speed. So I'll take it. I'll take that. So this western wind did show up. You can see the sail's pretty inflated here. So we're going about 5 knots. We got, I'd say about 2 of that is from the motor and 3 of that is from primarily the jib sail. Good little way to cruise into the harbor. All right, till next time. She's a good looking boat.